We have now it's 7 o'clock. So we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Thanks, Brian. Deborah McIsaac, Mayor.
Brian McCready, Ward 2.
Travis Schurz, Ward 1.
John B. City Attorney.
Perfect. We're good to go there. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of different rounds of minutes that we need to approve. Let's start with March 14th.
I only saw two things.
Two things. Okay,
The approval minutes, I had Ryan and Nikki, but not that that's hugely, critical. The ticket dispute, we did have a vote on that as well. I don't think this had a vote on it, if I recall. I find it. Okay, yeah, new business, section A. For the forgiveness of the parking ticket, that was voted on.
Yeah.
We didn't have a vote listed.
Okay, I was actually never doing minutes again.
I was actually gonna,
So what happened with the minutes?
just the new business, section A on March 14th. The Brent Wilson, asked for forgiveness on the parking ticket. That was voted on. There was no vote listed.
do you have down who voted? So we
Again,
have
it was Brian and
I did.
Nikki.
Brian and Travis. I think you were the one that voted to put us out of our misery because there was
Yes.
too much time. Yeah,
$5.
yep, I remember that. Correctly.
It was.
Perfect.
So we made a few seconded.
Brian made the motion, Nikki seconded.
Okay.
All eyes. The only one that had one, the old ones was, I think there was some that did not have the full vote count, all eyes, some of the later ones. I just want to make sure that that gets added to each line item and a vote. If that's possible. Doing very good.
The full vote count on what?
There was just a couple towards the end I saw that didn't have a full vote count on.
Wait a second.
On the 14th or on the?
On the 14th, the 14th was the ones I noticed. I didn't notice any other ones, but maybe I just happened to notice it more on that one, but it was just more of a reminder to include the full vote count. So,
Okay.
other than that, it's great.
Which ones do you with the vote, Travis?
There was some towards the end. I was flying through them
Okay.
about five
Do you just want to double check them?
yeah, I just breeze through it and make sure that all the vote counts were in. I don't think there were any.
Do we table on something like this so we can go back and double check it? How do we want to do that?
I just approved, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes pending those edits.
Okay. So Travis is going to make a motion, pending the edits of the full votes.
Second.
And so we have a first. With the notes here. So we have Travis, and then we have Ryan. Amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, March 28th.
Not see any discrepancies in March 20th. Nobody else did, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first. We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That approves, and then we have April 4th.
I did not see any issues with that.
Either.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ryan has a first.
I will second.
Travis, you guys are switching it up. Keeping us on our toes. All those in
Sure.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Claims payable. Claims payable is the yellow sheet for those of you who are following along in our color coded group.
I didn't see anything that was.
It was pretty straightforward for me too. Any questions?
I
Yes.
would like to add one claim that I got in late. It'll go on next month's, claim list for the school.
Mm-hmm.
Martha did a fantastic job with the election. Have the bill ready for us this morning. And you see, I believe it was $348.
That's
It's
how,
on there.
yeah, it's right on the front there.
Yeah, yeah.
I took a look at it. Let me grab it.
So it'll be on next month's.
It'll be on next month's.
Claims, but it'll be meeting after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right on, so this is at 3:30.
Oh, there you go.
3:38.
That's what it was. Thank you.
3:38.42.
Thank you.
Have the expenses down.
Right, so all that's there. It's all election expenses. Okay, so if we could go ahead and get a motion to approve the claims payable, including the school for 338.42,
I'll make a motion to approve the claims. Yeah.
and the claims payable will be reflected, the school will be reflected on next month's claim payable.
Yeah.
Right?
Second.
Okay, so, we got, yep, Nikki, Ryan, school reflect next month. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Oh, any, I already said any opposed to my motion passes. Can't write and do votes at the same time. Okay, public time. Any good? Yeah,
Mr. Hodges here.
I'm Woody Hauser,
Woody.
and basically, got lost in the shuffle, but previous mayors and councils and everything, we had put in to purchase the one lot. And, through the course of it, we could have closed. And the previous council had decided that we had certain timelines they wanted to meet, said we would be able to, but if they wanted to close, we would have. And they said, well, we have someone else of interest and so much other things. At that time, my understanding was Dollar General was, which we thought would be good. So we bowed out. We asked for our earnest money back, and I just forgot about it. So we need to have that returned back.
Well, what he's talking about is lot 74, which is on the corner of Sixth and Lovely. And so he had originally put the bid in when we had the silent bid. And he was awarded the ability to purchase that land. So he had given the contract, I believe, only required $5,000 in earnest money, but we actually had received $7,500 in earnest money. So we were, that has been since sitting in an account with the city attorneys respectively. And so Woody is just here to say, hey, can I have that back? Woody is the current owner of lot 75, which is the middle lot on Lovely on the south side, for those of you who are familiar with Lovely Avenue.
John, that money's just in a trust or something, right?
It's sitting in my trust account.
Yep, just sitting there.
I'd love to release it.
So do we need to, is there any more discussion or questions you guys have on that?
Did you own lot 75? Do you have anybody lined up by chance?
To,
Purchase and build?
we were gonna build up. So my statewide leasing, which is my other partner, is the dentist.
Oh, okay.
So we were gonna build on that. With building costs, what they were and everything, things have changed. To where the cost per square foot is too high for the rental market right now. They have things fall in line. It's still in the works.
Okay.
He still would like to do it. Quite a few of the people that had asked about it, they're gonna lease space, have since decided not to, because it's just gotten more expensive.
Mhm.
And so building costs went through the roof. Lumber's actually up again, so PVC shingles is going the wrong way.
Mhm.
And then the thing that's For some last year's interest costs for 2.5 times more.
Mhm.
Now the carry cost is more, just
a
so they
straight
get
dentist,
rental to.
straight dentist office or anything else, or what were you looking?
We had, at one time, I had coffee shop, dental office, possibly virtual clinic, boutique. Lots of daycare, holy cow, we have.
There's a big need for daycare, big need here.
One we had talked to, we were gonna do more insulation because it's soundproofing because it's all infants. It was totally just gonna be infants.
Oh, wow.
And then, but I bet I've had 3, 4, 5 calls per daycare. So
Wow.
now when we tell them how much the square foot is gonna be a year, they're going, holy crap. So that's what it is. That's gotten a lot quieter in the last 6 months, basically a year that it's quieted down. It's like that. We don't get any calls.
You're just kind of looking for a kingpin for the renter.
Well, we had the dentist, it's hard to do a standalone dentist office.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with the mixed use, we had the rentals above, and we were pretty excited when the virtual clinic was talked about. We had an inside track there through the dentist, and I thought that was gonna come together and
Mhm.
was laying low. So,
Right.
They're actually opening virtual clinics. Thought it was 7 times, most of them north. And we were referring to stuff, but that's since it's just sitting there. It doesn't really do anything.
There's been a lot of plans with that swirling around, and so it's gonna be interesting to see where that lands.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's gonna.
You know, you never know till they sign on the dotted line, right?
And that's the thing, a lot of people just didn't sign on the dotted line.
Mhm.
There's a lot of,
So,
yeah, there was a lot of, that was a really good time to be in the market. Exciting.
get your,
Everybody just stopped.
there's no sense in investing $2 million if it's gonna eat you alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we kind of hold on, and we were pretty excited when they said the Dollar General was coming. Of course, that, they also, the city at that time wanted to have it back for the development court. And
Yeah.
develop all that.
Dollar General, was that looking at 74 or whatever, or was that?
I believe so. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Full details.
It was.
It's on the court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever a lot. I don't even know what they're.
Yours is 75. So are you still in the market for looking if we can find some tenants for you, or?
Yeah,
you just don't-
still take a look at it. Yeah, that's still the plan as of now. So,
Well, maybe you and I can circle and we can figure out what those numbers are and then maybe talk about some possibilities.
sure, that's what that'd be fun.
Okay, so you guys, we have an item on the table.
I would request that I be authorized to draft a simple document that just states that what we all know, which is the purchase agreement is null and void,
Mhm.
and allow for the return of the earnest money to Mr. Hauser to statewide leasing.
That sounds like the cleanest way
Yeah,
to handle this.
That's neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the purchase agreement wasn't so neat and tidy. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm good.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to.
Roll Travis.
What John just said.
You write down.
I didn't want to do it, because I couldn't remember what all John said.
Have John draft a agreement or a letter per se. And then return to center.
I'll second. 71.
Okay, so I got Travis first. I have Ryan for second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? You'll be getting your letter and money shortly. Yeah,
John is working.
I know.
Okay.
He's fun to work with.
And we drove from Beersford, so I mean. it's
Thank you.
Really nice to have that,
Thank you for doing
like
that.
a personal visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. John and I worked together on production, so that's.
Yeah, Mr. Hauser and his wife, I think he mentioned it had about 20 foster children over the years. It's a huge investment in children.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
very much.
coming.
Get out of here.
Thank you for coming, Woody. Thanks. Have a good day. Drive safely. Yep,
Good
thank
luck.
you. Anyone else for public time? Going once?
see we have a deputy here this evening, so it might be the perfect opportunity. I'm Deb Paulson, 416 Lovely. I would love for you guys to start getting speeders in front of my home. It's a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone. We have school crossings and we have huge heavy trucks and equipment and fast cars that can't read the speed limit sign.
Is there any particular time of day that's more than usual?
Early morning after the school cop is no longer, we're watching for kids. And lunchtime's always a good time too. After 4 o'clock, when
pretty
everybody's trying to
consistent.
get home.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's pretty consistent. There isn't a bad time.
yeah. And if you want a place to hike, you're welcome to use my driveway.
She'll bring out coffee and cookies.
Yes, you'll be well treated.
What about the donuts?
Banana bread. I'd go for banana bread.
You'll be well treated. He's gonna keep that hiding spot to himself though, because he'll want all the treats, right? Okay, any other public time? Thanks, Deb. Anyone else? Okay, this official canvassing vote is a process. So I would like to suggest moving that down to the bottom. And we can move on to the agenda. So that was upon Linda's recommendation, as we have other people in here from out of town. So we want to be able to bump those up.
What do you?
And I just wanted to go down to the bottom. Okay. And then, do we have to vote on that?
Are you still on the agenda?
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. So as far as old business, we have had, as we all know, we've had meetings weekly, trying to make sure we can move forward the school's building permit, and that has been incredibly successful. We are now in the 21-day waiting period for that. And so we've been able to successfully handle a bunch of city business. So we really don't have old business or updates. There is one summer rec update I'm going to do, but I'll do that down. Well, actually, I can just do it right now. We have posted positions for the summer rec program, and we need to get the positions filled before we can turn on registration. Promote it, we're trying to get it filled. And so as soon as we have, people to work the jobs, then we'll start taking registrations for the kids. So if anybody has questions, they can call City Hall. We can direct you to where you need to be to get any other questions answered on jobs and or registration or the program in general. So it's a really great opportunity. As a quick reminder, a couple months back, we had earmarked $50,000 for the summer rec program because we were under the impression that we were going to have to run this program entirely through City Hall. But now we have a partnership with the YMCA. So that is going to be drastically reduced. And so there's absolutely, we're hoping that it will be a pass-through program. And so we're waiting until all of the dust lands, but it will be significantly less than what we had originally intended because we don't have to manage the program now. So that's good news. That's all I have on that. And so on to new business. We have a couple of peddlers licenses, which sounds scary, but they're not. It's just the right to do business on a short-term basis in the city of Baltic. Let's go ahead and start with Ray's Greenhouse. What do we got?
Hey.
Hi,
Hi there.
are you Ray?
I'm Chad.
Okay.
My wife is Rachel.
Okay, great.
We live east of here, about 9 miles
Mhm.
straight on Lovely, outside of Garrettson. And we're on our 4th year with a greenhouse in Garrettson, and our supplier had an extra greenhouse structure and was looking for a place to put it, and we suggested Baltic. So he said, let's do it. Location is 5th and Lovely in the Alliance Communications parking lot.
That would be across the car wash for those of you who don't know that.
Right, yep. So they've been gracious enough to let us set up there
Mhm.
pending approval. We typically start end of April, beginning of May, and then are done middle of June timeframe.
Okay.
So put up structure, take the structure down, and it's all done.
And is this like fruits or not fruits, but like vegetables and
Vegetables,
flowers?
flowers. Yep, our suppliers, Menches out of Avon. Really good product. Like I said, we've been doing it in Garrettson, and really well received there. So a lot of positive comments about the product there.
Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
Ray's Greenhouse LLC, and it's I think, connected now with, or follow City of Baltic, and
Okay.
so we'll, pending the outcome tonight, we'll start posting on Facebook and tagging. Make sure that we get the word out there.
We are super excited for this year.
I am very excited.
Because some of us have driven great distances to get our plants, so to be able to just go around the corner and have that in Baltic and have those sales numbers in Baltic is very exciting for our city, so thank you.
Right, but if it's anything like yours, just for local support is definitely.
What all do you do from those, just so people can find out you're coming?
What do we do?
Yeah.
As far as advertising?
Yeah,
It'll mostly be Facebook
okay.
and then just try and get word of mouth.
And with them being on Fifth and Lovely as the building comes up,
Right.
I'm pretty confident people will figure it out, maybe now.
Perfect location.
We're talking about, we said it. pretty
Yeah.
much has to be on monthly.
Definitely.
In order to get the first year, it's always a little bit more difficult, and we don't. It's only a month and a half, basically, so we don't have a huge budget to market
Right.
a lot, and so first year's getting it out there, and then the next year.
I think you'll get
Well, once,
We'll do our best.
well, once
Let
the
her say.
stand is put out,
Yeah, they'll
people
know.
will see it and word will spread that there's a stand coming.
I know, it's very exciting.
Yeah, now
It's
we'll
very
get,
exciting.
we'll get a sign out there, right away, and like I said, post it, and you'll see the structure going up here in the next couple days. They've already delivered the materials, so.
Well, I think you'll be very delighted with the warm reception that you'll get from our citizens. We're very happy not to commute and that you're bringing that service to Baltic. So we just need to
Absolutely.
approve this peddler's license, unless you guys have other questions.
I have no questions, it's very well explained, I'll make a motion to approve the peddler's license.
Travis is just Johnny on the spot.
Nikki wants to say.
Yeah, you gotta give Nikki the second on this. She's gonna be your VIP customer over here.
There'll be a little competition.
Yeah, there will be a little bit. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Welcome to Baltic. Thank you. We're very excited to have you. Okay. We got plants and our second favorite thing, right? Ice cream. Woo-woo. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Kim. I'm gonna stand over here a little bit.
Yeah.
Having my behalf to people. It's probably part of my 20 years being with Aflac. I was leading my group, so like having anybody behind me. So, with that, I was with Aflac for 20 years. I decided that was enough. And I wanted to do something different.
Mhm.
My husband, he's a territory manager for a foreign company, he travels. Buying an ice cream truck was his idea. He's gonna be gone, so it's my baby, I guess. So, we're excited. It's a familiar truck in the area. It has come to Baltic, over the past, I don't know, if they did a lot the past couple of years because of COVID, they had a supply issue.
Mhm.
That's getting better, I'm hoping. So we'll have on the truck, it's all prepackaged ice cream treats. A lot of them you cannot buy in stores. They're specialty. We have to travel to get those specialty items. So it'll be fun. But I have a work crew in town. My daughter and family live here. I have a daughter that teaches at school here. So, we should be earning a little more than other previous mothers were, but it's Monthly Business Treats LLC. We are on Facebook. So it's prepackaged treats. We just kind of brews and like music, kind of the music.
It's not like ACBC back in black or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very recognizable.
Perfect.
Traditional ice cream truck. So we do that. We also are doing for events.
Okay.
If people want to book an event, we are busy booking actually schools right now. The last day is school. A lot of places are having us come in and set up and all the kids come out and get ice cream.
Nice.
So, which is a really fun way to end the school year. So we do that. We do birthday parties, graduations, things like that as well.
So is there a way for the citizens of Baltic to be alerted that you might be coming a certain day so they can be
Yes.
watching? How does that work?
Yes, after we kind of, depends on the supply issue.
events typically are more on the weekends, the lakes are on the weekends, the lakes really, really want a truck there. And I really want to be there because they like to buy ice cream. But most of the time it's afternoons,
Okay,
not in the morning very much, afternoons, early evening. And Facebook is the main driver of notification. I will put on there and say, hey, we're gonna be Baltic so and so time. Watch for us and within word of mouth, but after a while, we're probably working on a routine.
sure.
And so people will expect, oh, it's Thursday night or whatever night, monthly business might be here.
Oh, that's great.
So my grandkids think it's great. Grandma having an ice cream truck.
There is no better thing. There's no better thing. Yeah, no better thing. Do we have any other questions?
Are you in other towns?
Yeah, we actually lived in Aurora. Previous owners have lived in Ward. And my husband thinks we're gonna add another truck. But anyway, there's only one to meet. But we're gonna do, right now, we have a 100-mile radius, so we're gonna do, up to, Toronto, Astoria. That's my area. Yeah, all the way down to, Sioux Falls or T, and then. So excited, because there's no ice cream trucks that go over there, and so they're.
Well, that's kind of a lost art. I mean, they're using the ice cream.
It's very nostalgic.
Yeah.
And I should just hold it up. It's a little unforgettable. Sorry. Green and yellow. And I left a copy with you and everything as well.
We can definitely promote it.
But
Oh, love it.
Oh, I have seen
Yeah.
yeah, so we're keeping it the same color scheme because it's recognizable.
Mhm.
This truck, his name is Clyde, because left hand Clyde.
Nice.
Which way? Yep, first Clyde. My husband said we're gonna get another truck and call it George, a smaller one.
Body.
And then he wants a big truck and call it Kong. So.
Hey, the man with vision.
so-
Got vision.
Yeah, but I have to do the work.
You only have, you're only one person.
Smart man.
Well, those grandkids will grow up in those.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're so happy you're considering Baltic as part of your route. I mean, you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. We appreciate that a lot. And so do we have any other questions? Easiest, vote next to plants, right? Yeah.
You also make business cards?
Yes.
Email your addresses and tell me.
Brian will be like park in front of my house. Okay, I need a motion. I need a motion.
Make the motion.
Brian's gonna make the motion. Need a second?
Second.
I knew it was gonna be Ryan. All those in favor say aye. Welcome to Baltic.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Super exciting. Okay, on to more fun things like Verizon towers. Yeah, you guys are good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You will see and hear us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. So the Verizon agreement has agreement with us. They have cell phone towers on the water tower. And so I believe Ryan had given us the agreement. John, have you been reviewing it? Do you have any questions or any feedback on that?
Ryan and I talked about this a couple different times. Of course, the engineering, I don't pretend to understand all of that or what it means to add a C band. But I looked through the documentation and the city, in my view, has a favorable agreement with Verizon. I can't remember what the revenue is, Ryan.
I think it's 3,600 a month. Does that sound right?
We've had that one since 20.
I like Travis's.
It's been a while. I know where I get my new. And so, really, they're removing some equipment and replacing some equipment. Ryan, you're far better than I am at going through the technical aspects. The end of the story is a document that they're asking the city to consent to as the landlord, basically. So that's the last. I guess that's the action item. So I've looked through everything. I see no issues that should cause, from a legal standpoint, should cause the city any concern.
Is there anything you could think about from the engineering standpoint?
Water tower street is still out for antennas like this. It's primary on the state, so I would say. That structural analysis is just sufficient.
Ryan, are they adding
We're removing the ones that are up there that are the obsolete, I
Right.
think, the 3G and up to the new network systems. Don't know, you know, if it's 4G, 5G, whatever, but it's gonna be, I'm pretty sure. So they're adding, I think, 3 antennas. They got 6 up there, I think they're going to 12. antennas.
So
This is
there,
kind of a before and an after. I mean, it's, you know, they're replacing these items.
I know you can't see this, so essentially
Yeah.
it's the same height as what you see now.
changing on equipment.
Yeah.
but they're doubling the numbers of antennas.
They are.
Are they doubling our price?
No, there's no offer to renegotiate the existing.
Did
Still
we,
using the same space.
did we check with other cities to see what their terms
Uh,
were?
we did not.
Okay, so this is something that you guys need to be aware of, in the group of cities that collectively gathered to make sure that the terms were favorable for the cities as a group. So that way Verizon would be amenable to everybody and there wouldn't be like one price here, one price there, that kind of thing, and everybody was transparent about what the revenue opportunity was for a city. So we can go ahead and take this agreement and agree, do it as is, or we can also ask John to do that due diligence. Now, whether or not that changes the numbers, I have no idea, because maybe everybody else has signed their agreement. We've been kind of slow walking this one.
See, everything is different. I know when I. System, the lease stayed the same. I mean, so they come in there whenever they need to update, and it's just really more of a. Update their equipment, but it's the least curious, because I know Dell they need more money than we have. And when we went with this, we asked Dell what they were. Because they were our closest neighbor, they have multiple units. We just have Verizon. They have multiple different towers or uses on their tower.
Okay,
They do have the rights to upgrade under the existing lease agreement. And so,
okay.
Probably not
it's
necessary.
up to the council, but I feel comfortable.
I'm fine with it.
It's free, it's free.
It's good,
Yeah.
frankly, it's a good deal. It was a
Yeah.
good deal. I viewed it as a favorable deal. Verizon was very good to work with.
And
How long is the contract? A year?
5-year lease, and I think it's renewable for 4 times. I got
Okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
original one was 2015.
2015, so we re-upped, and every time, every 5 years, they increase what our payments were by 110% from the previous.
Oh,
payment.
okay.
So it's every 5 years, we'll bump out for our
Okay,
payments
sounds
that
good.
we receive.
Ryan, is there going to be any expense to maintenance on our tower because they're removing something and adding something new like
No,
paint or any of
No,
that?
they'll, what they did before is they just actually, the brackets that they put on there, I think are stainless steel, and they just band those to our tower. They don't do any like structural welding or anything on our tower.
Not allowed to.
No, it's just, they just actually band it to there, so there is really no damage that is done to our tower when we're working on it.
Linda, does that money get earmarked for anything, or does that just go straight to the general fund?
Goes to general fund. I'm not sure if it was meant for anything else.
I just thought of that, I didn't know if that was something that we wanted to earmark towards whether it's water tower improvements or something like that, or just continue to leave it towards the general fund. Just something I have to think of
Kind
today.
of just always thought that that would be for the kind of parks, that'd be,
Okay.
you know, that money would be available.
You know, Linda, just for an administrative point, why don't you look into that just to clarify, and we can talk about it next month, but that doesn't need to necessarily influence.
Yeah, I haven't found easily found anything, but
Yeah, and I don't ever remember having conversations about that in years past about the agreement and if it was ever earmarked for anything, but just more out of curiosity if we should use it for water tower improvements or you should use it for parks or whatever.
and if it is for her, she got this, Linda. Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion to have authority to sign this.
I give Mayor McIsaac authority to sign the contract.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have Ryan and we have,
That's all you need, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's the way back page. I think it's under tab.
Yeah, I
3.
see it. So we have a first and we have a second to allow the mayor to have authority to sign the agreement. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? I am just going to, motion passes. I'm gonna do this right now so we don't have to come track me down tomorrow, right? Linda, do I give this to you? Okay, cool. All right, got that done. 2023 Finance Officer School, oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. Operating agreements, John.
Okay, Mayor asked me to, well, a couple of things, just to start at the beginning here. Linda asked me to review 3 existing operating agreements with the Legion, Sunday Cafe, and Classic Convenience with respect to the terms and conditions under which the city authorizes these 3 entities to sell on sale or off sale, in some cases both, liquor and malt beverages. South Dakota has a long, a guy named Chuck Cecil, who worked for SDSU for years, wrote a phenomenal book that is on the history of alcohol in South Dakota. It's a fascinating read if you're into history and if you're interested in how alcohol has come to be regulated in the state. Baltic is one of a handful of municipalities in South Dakota that has retained what's called a local option. The legislature, many years ago, decided to allow cities to decide if and under what terms and conditions they may want to control the sale of malt beverage and beverage alcohol in South Dakota. Now, most municipalities sell liquor licenses. They sell them. And in some cases in Sioux Falls, they command a great amount of money. And state law regulates the number of licenses that can be sold. Baltic, along with Hill City, Brookings, Ryan just stepped out, I believe Coleman, are local option municipalities. There's perhaps 1 or 2 others. Ryan, is Coleman a local option? Yeah. So basically what this means is that the city is able to generate revenue from allowing malt beverages and liquor to be sold, or to decide they don't want it. It could be dropped. We Baltic, the city council decided, and if you can get referred and overturned, Baltic could decide that it does not want to have alcohol sales, except they have to allow malt beverage. But let's just, not split too many hairs.
Okay, so that's not gonna happen, just
That's
so,
not-
so we're clear.
But the bottom line, and of course, and generationally here, I mean, I'm assuming there are some folks here that remember a day when the sale of alcohol was more scrutinized by the population than it is today. Selling alcohol today is business, it's economic development, it's generating sales. So Baltic, you may recall, it used to have the municipal lounge, and the city operated it. And the city was in the business of selling alcohol and video lottery. And they retained all of the rights to all the video lottery revenue and all the alcohol sales on sale and off sale. Okay. Then the building was sold, and when the man that bought the bar from the city, he entered into what's called an operating agreement. So when a business that wants to sell alcohol is allowed to do so in a municipality that has exercised its local option, like Baltic, the seller of the proposed business needs to come to the city and say, I want an operating agreement to sell alcohol in Baltic. And typically what the city did in the past was, there was always a markup on the alcohol, whether it's beer, maybe I could just say alcohol, whether it's beer, wine, or whatever. So typically with the lounge, the city would mark up all of the wholesale purchases of alcohol by 5%. You take the invoice price plus transportation, and the city would charge the business monthly 5%. Okay. And generally speaking, I mean, when the city had the bar, the city retained all the video lottery revenues. There's a couple of attorney general opinions in South Dakota that allow a municipality that has exercised the whole option to also decide whether or not they wish to have a percentage of video lottery revenues. Now, I'm not wanting to open up a big can of worms, but in the interest of transparency and so that everybody understands what's going on, again, we have an operating agreement here with the Legion. Now, the city has never, to my knowledge, charged a markup at all for the Legion. You know, yeah, and so there's no provision in there for that to happen. So long as the Legion does what it's supposed to do, it can buy whatever alcohol it wants and can resell it and keep the money. This particular document, the period is from March 20th, 2017 until the 31st day of December of 2022, but it also automatically renews for a renewal term of 5 years, which statute in South Dakota council has it, that allows an operating agreement to be renewed for one period of 5 years. Now, did the Legion have video lottery?
They did back in the day.
They
did.
You know,
They ran the bar.
Okay. So that's the Legion. So technically, this existing contract doesn't need to have anything done to it because it automatically renews for 5 years. But Linda, we should probably calendar these documents so that, you know, when it's time, when the 5 years ends, then he may not be here. But whoever is taking your place will want to flag this. Now, let's next talk about classic corner, or classic convenience. I wonderful, I got a C-store in Baltic.
Mhm.
So the agreement here runs from the first day of April 2017 and ends on the 31st day of December 2022, and also has the 5-year renewal option. Now, what's interesting is, and Linda, you can confirm whether or not this has been done, but the convenience store pays $100 a month for the liquor off sale license in advance, and pays $300 a month for the malt beverage, whether on sale or off sale. They don't sell on sale. I know they could, but yeah, they do. So,
They do, because they have video lottery.
oh, they do. Okay, well,
Okay,
and here's what gets interesting. For the first 18 months, there was a grace period. So starting on April 1, 2017, for 18 months, there was a grace period. And the operator was not required to pay any markup. After that 18 months, the city and the operator, which they're referred to as an operator, are supposed to get together and work out a mutually acceptable agreement as to the amount of the fixed markup expressed as a percentage of each invoice. Now, to my knowledge, that's never been done. Hasn't it?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So that's something that needs to be considered. Also, the operator is entitled to install video lottery. And there was no provision for sharing the video lottery revenues. Now, each of these agreements are terminable by either party in 90 days notice. So if the city wanted to negotiate, it could. Last is the Sunday buffet agreement, which contains basically similar terms, although they were to pay $300 annually without proration during any year in which this agreement is in effect. And so, and they have a 12-month grace period, after which there's supposed to be a meet and confer between the city and the operator. So, and they do have permission to install the lottery.
So what I'm hearing from you is that we need to consider, or think about whether or not we want to have the meet and confer with the business owners to see if we would like to come to an arrangement of a possible fee markup or video lottery revenue share.
And perhaps not with respect to the Legion, although it does occur, you know, just freshening these up and updating them would probably be a good idea. I think, on all three.
So John wanted to share the history of this and explain the different contracts that we knew what to do.
And some people will argue that they don't understand the unique statutory scheme that South Dakota has. Some people will argue until you're blue in the face that there are liquor licenses, but there aren't. There are operating agreements because the city holds all the licenses. So.
Which also gives us flexibility to have as many or as few as we want too.
It does.
Because if you go investigate codified law, they have, you know, minimums and maximums depending on your population of what you can have, but because we have this model, the council gets to decide what is best for Baltic, which is kind of at an advantage if you think about it, because we have a little more control over that. So,
And not to be, I mean, I don't, everybody's gonna have a different opinion on this, but there is a revenue mechanism that is available to the city, which, should it be, I mean, if the decision is not to enhance revenues, that are paid by the operators to the city, it at least should be a conscious decision.
does anybody have questions for John regarding this topic?
On the revenue and expense summary, where is that line item for the revenue that's coming from those different operating expenses?
Right now, it's just contract stuff, so it's not a revenue, because we're not getting.
So even though there was only an 18-month grace period and we are well beyond that, we've not been collecting those revenues.
No.
There was
Revenue
never-
Having been established.
No, it is under revenue.
Is it? I'm sorry, Linda. I misspoke.
Well, maybe they're paying, I don't see this,
When I read that through that, it didn't sound like there's any sort of
I,
percentage or market established here.
well, after 18 months,
Then you can discuss.
there's supposed to be a markup after the grace period with respect to Sunday Cafe and Classic. So it's supposed.
But
to be.
instead, it's just the fees that are
And that would just-
listed.
that would be
in
in
the contract.
it's under,
Well, okay,
operating agreement, 4,500 on the revenue side of the general fund.
okay, but it's very important to distinguish between these monthly payments that are to be made. For example, let's take these individually, class convenience, 100 a month for the liquor, 300 a month for the malt beverage, okay. That's different than the markup,
Mhm.
the retail markup, which is,
That would be kind of the liquor license portion, if you had to draw a line to understand it, the base right to have that use in your business, and so they're paying for, is that kind of how we can explain that?
it is, and also consider that if, let's say let's say a Baltic sold liquor licenses.
Mhm.
Well, in theory, there would be a market established for what that's worth, but I'm assuming it would be way more than $400 a month. For classic convenience, to pay $100 for selling liquor and $300 a month for selling beer. But the important thing is for the council to be aware of this, to understand what the options are.
What was Sundays then?
Some days is $300 annually, so it's kind of a throwaway. I mean, $300 a year
Yeah.
is nothing.
John, is
Yes,
that 300 a year with classic corner?
no, I thought it was, it's a month, no, with, and we're getting confused in these
Yeah.
documents. Michael Frericks is Sunday to pay.
Yeah,
He pays $300 a year.
classic.
It's classic that pays monthly, $100 for liquor and $300 for beer.
Well, and another thing to consider, when they originally wrote that contract for Sunday Cafe, it was just a family restaurant with very minimal.
Before Bulldog.
Yeah, and so, but now that they've expanded into the doghouse, it's a different model. So something to think about.
So in the end, I guess it's a question of what's reasonable and fair to the city, because you obviously want to encourage businesses, you want them to succeed, you want them to thrive, you want opportunities. But,
There's very few revenue opportunities for a municipality, but you should never do it at the expense of the success of a business. I mean, obviously. So the purpose of this on the agenda tonight was to basically educate people, because there's several agreements, several different topics. What I would suggest is the aldermen go back to their constituency, kind of get a litmus test of what they think is fair and reasonable and what makes sense, and then let's talk about this next month. I think this is definitely a topic that warrants some due diligence with what the citizens prefer.
John,
yes,
in the case of, say, Classic Corner, does the information there say when that's payable?
monthly, the hundred plus the three.
Because we are at the end of our first quarter and I'm not seeing any year-to-date revenue.
Well,
Well, that's because there hasn't been a meeting.
we're not
for-
enforcing it. yet. That's the problem.
That's what
Yeah,
I was
okay,
wondering.
and that's a really good point to bring out, is that the city, the council they have fiduciary duties to manage this asset, which is called being a local option municipality. And so the question then becomes, what's reasonable and businesslike to, to have a win-win relationship with the businesses and the city?
Which we're actually getting tax revenue.
That's the goal. I mean, some degree of arm's length management. And we know how long, see, the flip side is, we know how long the C-store sat there.
Right.
Agents, and then Sunday Cafe is, I've eaten there a few times, it's great, it's wonderful to support local business.
Good people.
To your knowledge, John, I mean, any other communities that you're familiar with them?
I could check, I mean, I can call the city attorney, Hill City, Brookings, I'm gonna look at college there, and so the liquor store was our favorite place. And Brookings had the whole pie.
Right.
I think the grocery stores could sell beer. I think they could sell Low Point beer. That tells you all about it. But if,
They still have the liquor store, you can buy the
is that how it is? Okay, yeah, so basically it's called, we're the municipality. There's a lot of profit in alcohol and we want to control it. And that's that's a legitimate position.
It's legitimate, yeah.
Government, local governments need to generate revenue because the taxes oftentimes don't. Well, we
Well, I
got,
think it's reasonable to look at other communities.
Yeah, find like that and read through what they have and find what the best way to go about it.
I could come back with a little spreadsheet.
Why don't you do, do you have the bandwidth over the next week to do something like that? Why don't you, if you can, over the next week-ish?
Ish.
If we can get that back to the aldermen via email,
All right.
and then that way they can take that information to their constituents and
Sure.
start asking questions and seeing what people think, so then we can have a more robust discussion next month. How does that sound? Okay. John, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Okay, now, 2023 Finance Officer School, as we know, Linda is going to be retiring. Very sad to hear that, but we knew it was coming. So we are in the process of having the new finance officer position listed for the city of Baltic. And people are welcome to apply. And so every year they have a finance officer school that those who need the training, want to refresh their training, is available to them. And so this is simply that line item. What are the dates again? Is it like June or something like?
Middle
of June? Since we're now in almost mid-April, and we're in the search and find section of finding an finance officer, we're hoping that we'll have a candidate selected, and whoever that candidate selected is, will be going to that finance officer school. So Linda, do you need an action item to approve the expense of the finance officer school, or is that something that we can do after we have found a candidate? How would you like us to handle this?
Do we have to register?
They just go in there.
What's the expense for the school?
It's just mainly the motel and the travel to Pier. Once you get there, I think they provide meals. If I remember correctly, they provide your meals. And it's like a $50 or $100 fee, so. So it's mainly your motel for 2 months. And your mileage.
And it's at Pier, right? It's at Pier.
Yeah, it's at Pier this year, so
So we can pre-approve this expense, so that way we have it ready to go.
I would think so because,
Do we need to approve that expense?
I don't think
That amount?
Yeah.
I think
it's
it's
a small
I think I
amount.
need-
I don't know. And then just,
That's just a.
I don't think that's.
I guess you're asking for permission to have a placeholder registration, so we don't.
$400 to $500 by the time you get done.
There should be.
I would say usually the way this works is that you just ask the council for permission to be, because usually we have the money budgeted, so it's just like, is it okay for them to
Okay.
go to those dates, go to that?
Yeah. If we hire someone beginning of June, it's not worth sending. Because they'll be totally lost.
Right.
But if we hire somebody that's half trained, say, then it would be worth sending them. Because they'll understand.
Yeah. So it depends on experience at the county, so we know what to do. Okay, and so you're just looking for permission to be able to register, so we have a spot? Or just making us aware?
Just use your judgment on what you
Yeah.
think is what I
Yeah,
would.
yeah, I'll see.
I don't think we need to vote on that. I think, just thanks for letting us know.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
all right, that was easy. Okay, Public Works, Ryan, you're on.
Things before you, first one is chip sealing. Uh,
Yay, we love chip seal.
putting it out there just for the season is here. We've always been favorable with road guys. They've always treated us well, so I would reach out to them. I should reach out to more. If you would like me to, there's a couple other ones, but in the past, when I was here before and did, road guys were always the lowest bid that came in with the rate, and it's under the 50,000, we never had to, do a formal bid process, so we kind of went through it. Coming in at $1.95 a square yard, last year it was $1.64, but I'm just looking at like concrete prices around, just knowing what those are. They're lower than the rate that everybody's went up for concrete, so I'd say they're in the same area, they're like a 26% increase, but concrete's over 30% for a lot of them. So,
The one question I have about chip seal, and the biggest complaint that I heard when I was going and talking to all the citizens, is that when they're done chip sealing and the rocks have set in the tar, forgive my lack of technical knowledge, the gravel that's on the edges, do they come back and get it?
we sweep that up.
You
Like
sweep
we
that,
purchased and Adam and David
Okay.
and Johnson, we did it. I usually try to let it sit like 2 to 3 weeks, and it's all contingent on how warm it is, because you don't want, I mean, it's
because
just
it might
fresh.
be squishy.
Yeah, and you might feel like something with that on.
Well, it's the center room, the pickup room, will pick up the rock that's in the tar, so there's no point in having the rock then. It's too warm.
Right, that
I
makes
asked,
sense.
I asked Ryan a week ago about this, and about it in the yards, right? How the rock ends up in the yards after snow removal.
Right,
He had said, explained to me that the optional piece to doing this is about 3 times the cost.
Yeah,
nice.
Sawyer Seal.
Yeah.
And we looked into this last summer. We could piggyback the slurry seal for Sioux Falls, but you'd have to meet a minimum, if I remember correctly. That'd be the whole town of Baltic.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we have a
Or,
plan for that.
And no, we don't, yeah. No.
Okay.
And then just for people to know, what Ryan had told me about it, if it's up in the yard, if they want to rake that out to the curb, to let him know down at the city, they'll come by and they'll pick that up.
Yeah, if there's chips in your yard after the new curb and windrows, we just say rake it back into the curb line, and then when we come by with the sweeper, we'll pick it up the best we can.
That's good to know.
Or, I mean, and that's a lot of people just pick it up on their yard, they, back it into their mowers and stuff like that, but yeah,
Yeah.
we wanted to break it into the total bar, or into the curb line,
How many times this week a year?
right now too.
2 times?
Any other
Is there
questions?
any way we could increase that to 3? I know that
We can, what I've always seen is it's kind of, we do certain areas. The old part of town with the way the hills are, not much sits in the gutter line, and
Right.
you'll get some ramps, but they work over, but there's not as much. But you get down in Elm Avenue, 6th Street, those are the flatter, they will hold more of the aggregate or dirt and dust. So it's usually not horrible, so that's why we've always done it in fall. We always do it in the fall, before the leaves fall, because that is time intensive to pick up the leaves when you're sweeping. I'll just say in Dells, when I was there, I think we had 2 guys, and it was a 2-month process, and it was, you do one street and the next day you couldn't even tell you were down. It's just
Right.
that much.
we've never swept the city of Sioux Falls.
Really?
Not the entire town, not during fall. There's no way. Because we have all, the city of Sioux Falls sweeps 3 times a year. Sometimes 3.5. And that's all the curb miles, and for them to pick up all the leaves throughout the town is impossible. And for 2 guys, 1 sweeper or whatever, to do it, they luck.
Yeah. I had previously spoken with Ryan last year and asked him when they were doing chip and seal, why we weren't reusing some of that, like down at the community gardens or our driveway in or in our drop-off site to fill some of the potholes or even down at River Park. And Ryan, I think it would be wonderful for you to have the opportunity to tell everyone what you shared with me, why we don't reuse that.
A lot of the time it's just, there's so much debris and garbage in there, it is not a good surface release. I mean, even like the chips, we can fill gravel or alleys with the chips, but it's so fine, you get too thick about the course of it, people get stuck because it's there. But with the street sweepings, it is garbage. I mean, a lot of the time, we actually have, if someone wants to use it as a fill in a hole, I mean, it works great there, but it's got the debris from the exterior oil, grease, that kind of gets built up on the roads, it's all in there, so it's nothing that's a good product to use for anything other than it's a waste product.
You have to wash it and rescreen it, you don't wanna reuse it, and that's not cost effective.
You don't want to give her rocks about.
No.
Ron, do you know what sections do this year?
What is planned, well, Bulldog Avenue was one of the streets, but that since the construction there, they're gonna have the whole road blocked off. What it will be is 6th Street south of Lovely Avenue, the Nielsen, that whole development. And Elm Avenue down 2nd Street, and then the cul-de-sacs is what is projected. That gets us to the 17,000.
Cause we
Usually we do right between that 8, 17 and 20.
Yep.
Just by pricing. I'll be reworking the maps because once Grant Park can get online,
I was just gonna say.
we try to do everything 7 years. I mean, they say they want 5, anybody doing business for asphalt, they say 5 years to keep rehabbing them. We pushed to 7 with Grant Park and Phillips Crossing, and we eventually add those in there. We're gonna try to get it, but the dollar amount will limit us just because if we want to try to stay under that. Request.
Have you talked to anybody else other than the road guys?
No, they've always been favorable. I
Yeah.
don't think Luminous has done it before, Seal Pros, but when we reached out to them before, road guys have always beat them. And they've always worked out at a very good deal for us. So I mean, I can do reach out to more, but they've always been favorable. I mean, that all.
Yeah, I'm more curious on the, especially the change in the map. We used to have them, used to always be in a packet. I thought I had one, but I don't, but it had a section out of what pieces the town get done in what years and.
I do have that. Yep,
Yeah.
I made that and then I updated it before I left. It's still on the wall. I got it here that I'm going off of.
Yep.
So, that was.
Yeah, it was a nice piece, and when we do get them all rearranged, because it kind of started getting off the rails when the Lovely Avenue conversation happened, because it needs more than just a reseal. There's no point in continuing with the existing timeline if it's just throwaway. There's no sense in investing the money in Lovely in the shape that it's in, so that's when the kind of conversation, we started skipping over it, and then kind of redoing which roads need to do what.
And that's.
So Ryan, maybe you should take that map and let Lacey scan it and throw it on the website so people can see what it is. Let's put it on as an attachment for this meeting so people can see.
Yeah.
And then that way, when you redo the map, then we can update that.
Yeah.
So that way we have it as a public reference.
And that'll be the conversation on second Baltic. And I mean, this is all in there since we haven't rehab Baltic for a while. So I'm gonna jump into that is by the gas station, that's,
Before you do, back to
okay,
the seal pro. On any of those streets, are there like low spots or the street breaking up? Like for instance, on Valley View, at the corner of Valley View and, it's still the street.
metal,
Metal, thank you.
by that, the.
Yeah, there's that dip right there.
That'll
Like
be
a
good.
skin patch job would
Yeah.
fix that before the seal pro.
Yeah, but that's not gonna be sealed.
Correct.
So yeah, there's those are the ones that will fix those, they cover those.
Okay.
Or replace them, might be a cut out and replace with that one just based on what's underneath it since. It's
Yeah.
7 is
Might have a frost boil or whatever.
Yeah.
You do have a frost boil system lovely on the south side.
Yeah,
There's one there.
You said it's about 30 cents per square yard jump from last time.
64, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd feel better with a second. Like a second quote.
When do we have to get these guys on the calendar? Ryan?
It's every 5 days, so when I reach out to them again, we'll have to request another. Because they're only going for 5 days for price increase, they can't guarantee it.
So what you're saying is if we approve this tonight, they're gonna come here in 5 days?
No.
No,
Oh,
I-
wait a minute, what?
They'll lock the price in and
Yeah,
they'll
this
see.
price is good for until this meeting.
So I can't go up and can't go down.
So,
Got it.
if we don't approve
Thank
it, it's, I would resubmit it, and that's no hard thing, it's just earlier to get on their calendar, so.
Where are we slated to be on their calendar right now?
We're never slated to be on their calendar, it's kind of, they give us,
Got
we request a notice at least 2 days prior to them coming to town,
Got it.
but they'll bring the aggregate usually in a week forward.
Mhm.
So that.
It's usually, yeah, it's usually.
So we can notice, like this year or last year, we noticed everybody out in those developments saying that to remove your vehicle.
Right.
And the weather was perfect this year that they were able to make it the same day, because I've done it before where you switch it 2 different times.
Mhm.
They just didn't push because it was raining, so.
So Brian's, asking the council to consider a second bid. What do you guys think of that?
Just to be on the up and up and, I mean, if I get that they've always been the price leader, but I think 30 cents jump, per yard.
How long will it take you to get another bid?
Well, we can schedule it for the next meeting.
Okay.
But I mean, but that's what they'll do. I mean, I can call and ask them what they would give for a number and then just wait until the next meeting. Everybody will probably do the same thing.
Okay,
They're gonna give for a longer day.
Can't you just give Ryan the authority to, make the decision once he gets a second bid?
the council can do whatever they want.
I'd be comfortable with that.
Would you be comfortable with that, Brian?
I'd be comfortable with that. How about you?
Yeah, they would.
How about you, Travis?
I am. I'm just trying to think of the. Where it's gotta go.
If he goes and gets a second bid and then give Ryan the authority to choose the lowest of the 2 bids.
Yeah, that's the part that I was thinking of, just. Not that it-
Most of them, but
Yeah.
But not to exceed, right?
Well,
You could put it out to exceed.
Well, because that might go, that bid right there might go up. That's why it's only good for 5 days.
See, that's the hard part with this, is it's really not a bid, so nobody's locked into it, so I
Got it.
should say if anybody is a competitor watching, they kind of know what. Yeah, road guys,
That
no,
makes sense. Yeah.
so now road guys, and that's the way competitive.
Yeah, that's why we don't talk about bids when we're making the decision. We release the bids after we've made the decision. Right. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so we have a tentative? Who wants to start?
I'd do it.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make motion, but I'd like to give Ryan the authority to get a second quote from an opposing company and then move forward with the most reasonable offer.
So that we got that on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second. So we got a Brian. We got a Ryan for the most reasonable offer. It's 2 bids. Reasonable offer. And, all those in favor? Any opposed? There you go. You got your chips here. All right. Second and third, lovely.
No,
That's all in there? Agrilyme?
Agrilyme, yeah.
Typo. The N and the M, the N and the M was a big discussion, so.
Difference.
So this is just from Brian Rock, out of Shakopee, Dakota. Very good Agrilyme, used it for almost all fields, I think. River Park had, that's where the Agrilyme came from. This is just a bid for 50 tons, or a quote for 50 tons. Yeah, and I know the West Island, I don't know if anything's been added to it, but it is low. So this would be used to fix maybe low spots on the East Island, use some out at River Park, and mainly be put on the West Island in the Heights. Expensive. I know back in the day, we used to have, if we had local farmers doing all close to that, usually they went to Brewster, they'd run up the shop, they come back, so it was a little bit more favorable for the hauling. But they'd be in grain trailers, so then it was, we unloaded the trailer by manually pushing it out of the trailers.
Oh.
This is an end dump, so this comes in and they just dump it in there, so.
Got it.
It's a favorable way for the labor intensive.
Mhm.
It is just an expense. Trucking is a huge expense for.
Yes. Yes.
As far as I know, luckily we're actually Sioux Falls, this is where they go. Because I haven't heard of anybody else that varies it.
You can get more of an agricultural line that still works and it's a different product.
Yeah, but this is
very,
for,
yeah, this is about the elite for athletic field.
yeah,
Brian Rock has kind of the controlling.
I'm
market.
sure BAA would appreciate that we invested properly for their fields. Yeah, definitely. Any other discussion? Gonna need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the Agrilyme expense. $600 delivery.
Okay, first Travis, second Nikki, all those in favor say aye.
One
Any
question
opposed?
for-
Oh, sorry.
With the 3,600 delivery says total tons and dollars are approximate. Should I probably make that a not to exceed amount?
You sure can.
But will you know?
Well,
You.
You got a pretty rough
they're
idea.
between 23 and 25 ton that they're cross haul. I mean, depending on the weight of it and stuff like that. So that's it. They put 50 ton, but if they get 46 ton, that's all we're gonna get probably, and then it'll be adjusted. I don't know what the goal.
I'm just saying to cover so you don't go over and end up with an unapproved expense because of Bill or whatever.
Correct, that is, if they can get 53 ton, then. we'll-
4,000 should cover any of that.
I like that.
I'll do that to a not.
And then these are all no items get out right here. There's this one I can.
I think we should authorize him to sign.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. I agree. Okay,
All right,
make a motion to approve, Agrilyme expense not to exceed $4,000 and to give Ryan the authority to sign the agreement with Brian Rock.
you can make plus on that one. So we have Travis on a first. Nikki says ditto. And second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? There you go, sir. Got that. What's next?
Second and lovely, everybody drives it, it's rough. Just the way expenses are, a rebuild of Lovely Avenue is probably not right around the corner, so it's, to me, it's just. When we're doing our small areas of asphalt repair is to get a bid on that. And bring back to do a mill and overlay of probably from Debbie Murphy's. That's where it probably starts right about there and go to where Mike Stanky lives or be up on top of that, right where we have. Utility pole water main shoots across the old trailer court. That's really the worst area. The rest there are spots, but that would kind of help with the drainage and, probably I'd request when if we do get a decent bid, put a little bit more ground in the road to push the water out because it's just so slow draining.
So you started Debbie Murphy's, right?
What's that?
Letting the ground in the road, because when you're turning off Third Street and going the little lines.
Oh, no.
This-
the
this
ground
is-
is middle, that side.
Yeah.
Not build up the road,
That's the
no.
trouble I have with the speeders.
Yeah, no, we're not building the road up, we're just counting the center to shed the water a little bit.
At the bottom of the hill,
Sorry,
is that supposed to come across?
I've almost got in on it.
On Lovely,
I'm sure.
I'm
Then
sorry.
in Lovely, there's to the southeast corner.
There's two drop inlets there, so it goes down. Or down Second Street, there's an inlet on each side.
So it's supposed
But
to.
only on the east side, there is a actual drop box on the street. On the west side, there is nothing. So that's supposed to turn. and
Yeah,
go
it's supposed,
down
yeah.
To the west, there, nothing's supposed to sit there or run across. Lovely, it's supposed to shed each direction,
You're gonna have to have one month. Yeah.
so.
Is that project gonna be affecting anything that might be going on at the trailer park since they're kind of in limbo right
Yes.
now, or is that,
This would be late,
okay,
late.
just making sure.
I mean, by the time we get someone in here to mill and
Okay,
overlay, it will be.
Okay.
Usually we're small projects, so it's when a contractor can get in.
got it.
Unless they're in the area and then they're gonna just come here.
Ryan, did the drainage problem, is that the result of people building up in front of their homes with gravel to create parking?
Spot. A little bit. I mean, that doesn't allow the water to shed off the road. like
Because it's
supposed to.
flattened everything kind of there.
It pushes the water, to keep it on the street and drain down, other than the corner lot, Crowell's old place, I don't know who's there now. They have a little bit of curb and gutter.
Mhm.
After that, there is no curb and gutter.
Right.
How about the drainage down with the third and,
That one's just gotta be cleaned off. On the west side, there is a drop inlet. On the east side, there is nothing there. That has to go all the way down to the old tennis court.
that's.
So that one is just more.
Are you talking about
Take
the?
I actually went down there with my shovel. And, definitely plop it,
Yeah,
that backs up so bad.
yeah.
That's all right.
Probably be
It's
2.5
built bad.
overlay,
Yeah,
mill and overlay.
Yeah.
Put at least 3.5 in the middle.
yeah, and that's all my thing is just to try to help the drainage, so that's why it's getting beat up now, it's just so flat and any little water sits there in high traffic and it just. Water is hard on aggregate, it just
Yeah.
takes it right away, the sand, the fine materials.
So do you need to go get quotes or tell
Well,
us?
no, I'm just kind of seeing if you're okay with that, because that's, we talked about, a long boundary goes with a fixed Main Avenue. This is just.
There's some places that are
Expensive, it's an
really tough.
expensive Band-Aid,
Yeah.
but it is a bad, I mean, I've
Well-
always been filling the holes, I just get full patch from Menards, it's a big full patch, it holds up. But I think we've already spent like $350 on that, and we didn't even touch those spots, that's just the bad spots that we're trying to keep ahead of, so that they don't destroy the other roads in town.
Right.
For it to last longer, so a crew of two doesn't have to keep going back
Oh,
month
again
after
and again,
month after
yeah.
month. Mill and overlay is what we need to do. I know it's only temporary, but a mill and overlay is only supposed to last 5 to 8 years anyway.
Right.
But when we get to the point where you do write up bids, be specific that you wanna raise the crown to that 3.5, 4 inches, otherwise they won't do it.
Okay, that's all, I just kind of heads up on that one.
So is that like a green light for them to move?
Yeah, it's no
Yeah.
harm in
Yeah.
that.
And then it'll be probably encompassed with our other repairs that we have in town, so
Okay,
when they're here, they'll do all the work.
Yep.
Third and Lovely, just an update on the trailer park. The dirt work that's being done is, Scoop is just getting ready for the split paperwork to come in so that they can start moving the school fire dirt from the school over to that facility. As long as that's permitted by the state, so.
we're just waiting on the state then, aren't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's kind of what the dirt work that's being done is, I just gave them authorization just to get prepped for it, because it's all. Everybody sees what's going on, if they have to stay ahead of the game so they can keep moving on the project, so.
And you don't need a permit to do work on your own
Correct,
land.
they're not impeding anything, they're not changing the
Right.
landscaping, they're just kind of cleaning it up, so it's.
Yeah.
Nothing's being done, they've already put the silt fence up to protect the area anyway, so.
But you know, that mountain on Grant Park can only take so much more dirt, right? We gotta have a second location, so.
So that's all I really add.
Thank you for that, Ryan. Miss Linda? Any comments on the revenue expense summary? No. That's this blinding green piece of paper for those of you who are.
I'm not colors, trying to go for what, yeah.
Keep doing it. It's good. I just need my sunglasses for this one. Does anybody have questions or comments on this? I like that you do this. It's helpful. Thank you. I think it's a lot easier to read being in a cash basis than we were before. So I like that. Okay, and then Linda, you had, school committee request. That's pink paper. We need to make a decision. Looks like, it's teacher of the year time. We need to nominate somebody. We can choose the mayor, a council member who's not the mayor, a city hall staff member to represent. The committee meets one time in late April, usually around 5 PM. We just got about 45 minutes investment. What do we want?
Nominate?
Yeah. You have to nominate someone from city hall to help with teacher of the year.
I think it should be somebody that has kids in school.
I think that makes a ton of sense.
Ryan or Travis?
There we go. Should we flip a coin? Do you guys want to do rock, paper, scissors?
Doesn't matter to me.
I can do it.
You want to do it or do you?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
Wait for playing chicken to see who called it first. No, if you wanna do it, that's perfect. That's perfect.
All right.
I'll
If it doesn't work, let me know.
I'll take it in the back for you, just for you there.
Okay, so you two got this covered. We'll do.
One of us will be.
Brian or Travis, I don't think we need to vote on that. I think that's just it. Okay, good.
Unless
That's-
Mr. City now gets more information than it comes through.
That would be perfect. Thank you very much for that. And then Justin,
Yeah, I'll go quick. Just the first item on there, Baltic Heights, just wanted to see if there's any feedback from you guys on that farmer's plan that we put together. Any feedback on it, questions, comments, concerns?
Just look at the second basketball court.
Yep, we'll get that one added if there's anything else on there.
And then what's the chance we help out?
Here's it at.
Present it.
do we have it up here?
I don't think so. That was that.
It sounds
Yeah,
great.
we can talk on that site.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Once you get a, yes, this is what we want to do, then what happens?
So then we just solidify all the cost estimates and then we start working into the budget and see what we want to tackle this year, next year, 3 years down the road.
Okay,
We
so,
could do this in sections moving.
Absolutely.
so this is what I'm gonna propose. Let's get copies of that part,
It might be in the 20 or the.
but you'll follow what I'm about to say.
Sorry.
And because the council needs to go talk about our operating agreements anyway with their constituency, I suggest that they bring the park, for the potential park drawing and and get feedback from citizens, so that way we can circle back with Justin, give legit feedback with eyes on the designs. And,
That's what we're talking about.
yeah. So, we're looking to embellish, the Baltic Heights Park and put a couple of basketball courts in, pickleball courts. We can get it to if you guys want to see it. It is on the website. Splash Park.
I'll get in my splash.
No, gotta have the splash park.
I uploaded it on there and it's available.
See you later.
Where would you find it on the website?
Stuff was under the 4th, but maybe it's under the 28th.
The 328? Oh, you guys, this mouse is just a struggle. Okay.
How many times?
Yeah, preliminary heights project.
Oh, here it is, guys, preliminary heights project. So under 328, you get the preliminary heights project. And then for those people that were looking for the quote of M&L construction, it's right here, City Hall expansion. Because people have been asking where that's at. So it's all in 328, so you can find that there too.
Number.
I would still like to see even more of a public input, instead of just reaching out and talking, obviously we can't reach everybody, but I like on the part, on the part to see a broader reach, either whether it's just a little public Q&A session, something along those lines. I mean, it's a project that I think we need more input than just
Yeah,
walk around talking to people. I'd like to see a lot of public input.
Would it be too much to front page that on the website and just a click here to email, because there's a box you can email to?
Can we do that?
You're gonna yield a lot of comments just if it's easy to.
And then we can
Yeah.
promote it, we can put it on the Facebook, promote it. And then, maybe we could send it to text saying, hey, we need your feedback on park designs, come to this page. Kind of a thing. Let's talk about that. Put that as an action item. We'll figure out how to get that in everybody's hands.
Okay.
That make it easier.
That's a good idea. If we're gonna have a meeting on it, we have it at the park. It might be easier to visualize some of the things.
I would like Justin to do an interpretive dance of what the whispers back.
There you go.
I'm just gonna read my scope.
I like that
Of
idea.
the Grecian urn.
I was on the Park Center board before, we had talked about moving the playground closer, so it's closer to the parents. The
Yep.
only concern is that we really got pushback on, that it's not too close to the baseball fields, because somebody pops up a fly ball and we're gonna get a kid in the head. So
Yep.
I'd say it's close, but not too close.
I think we mentioned that in the last one too,
Yeah.
because we thought if the basketball courts were too close to, someone would get bonked in the head. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you watch me play course, it's
Yeah.
very dangerous.
So, and I would
So-
say, yeah, I would put basketball courts closer than the park. Just because you got little kids at the park, maybe not as many kids, but
Definitely.
during the baseball game versus, 3 and 4 year olds playing in the park.
No, good feedback.
And the one thing I'd say with moving the playground equipment, it's been there a lot of years.
It may fall apart.
It might,
That's a tough one.
So we may have to take a look at that.
yeah, and it's in the sun and the
Well-
cracking of plastic, oh, yeah.
if that's the case, why can't we look at grant money for a new one?
Because grants take time,
Yep.
but we can.
Yeah.
But that can all be done in sections.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes into the next one too, the CIP grant that we talked about again times, it's.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool for me is seeing some of these items come into place as we're gonna start doing that.
So even with just some of the street stuff that Ryan takes care of, even though Ryan's great at that plan, but just getting that on paper, that way he can come to you guys and say, hey, for the CIP plan, you know, item X, we're taking care of these streets. But, you know, to that degree with the parks equipment, get that cost estimate, get it allocated, get it budgeted, and then start looking at those grant opportunities as well.
So with the CIP grant, that is gonna require some citizen involvement too. So between the park involvement and the CIP grant involvement and asking about the
So
the
for
operating agreements, we got
Yep.
stuff.
For the CIP, really the kickoff is going to be, I'm gonna say city staff right away. To kind of get all that bare bones, get the information, get going at the plan. And then there'll be the council updates where we'll, you know, appreciate all the comments from everybody, you know, lovely happening. I think that one will be on the list in there somewhere,
course it will.
right?
Of course it will.
So I'm just very excited.
No, that's perfect. And so, again, Lacey and I, sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Not to be negative, Nancy, but every other.
Everybody
year-
buckle up.
Every other year, there's a grant available from the state. Competition, game fishing parks competition is fierce. There's like 10 times as much demand as what, at least,
Mhm.
but we always try for it. I mean, you try for it. And we'll do that again when it comes around, hopefully this year, you know.
Well, in the next-
How much of a grant?
Anything yet.
How much of a grant?
It's usually a matching, sometimes it's a.
Yeah.
I know with that one, they have a sport, what they call for scoring it.
Oh, yeah.
One of the hard things is low income communities.
Yeah, that's where we
and
lose.
Tribal are usually a lot of the ones. I mean, it's just,
We may not feel like it, but our average income is way too high to get those kind of grants.
That's what it is.
So-
It's just one of the things, but that we're CFOG, in Sioux Falls, they help write those grants. So it's- I mean, and they partner with us to write it, and so now it's not really a cost that we might be.
Well, and ISG is always keeping an eye on those things too. And then we're on listservs where we get, you know, information on grants. And so we're taking a look at those things. I know BADF was doing research on different grants just to make us aware of that. And so it's always eyes on, but when it comes to this stuff, it's all timing. It's just all timing. And so it's like, we have to decide, okay, do we want it now or do we want to wait? And if we want to wait, then do we take the chance, you know, or how do we, and that's what all of these conversations that Justin is going to take us through to help us figure out what our priorities are and what we want to do for the community. And so I know that the basketball courts this summer are a high priority. I know Splash Park is a high priority. So kind of figuring that out and then maybe the playground being a nicety, depending on the condition, then figure it out from there and then just kind of piecemeal it in. And just to recap, the fall course too needs some redesigning, so we're gonna look at that too. And so there's some things.
Well, I think if the condition of the existing playground is, you know, that deteriorated, I wouldn't even try moving it. I'd just add another one.
Well, you.
Well, that's the point, yeah.
Small, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look at the park playground equipment, it's expensive. But there's so many levels of what you said. So like the one down there is probably your 3 to 8-year-old,
Mhm.
where would it be more beneficial to do that? Toddler, you know,
Right,
the 1 to 5.
You know, something like
because
that.
you're like, you know, what is gonna be the sibling division of the
It's
people
gonna be
playing the ball
smaller,
fields kind
yeah,
of thing?
you know, you
Yeah.
can add all those things, so then that would be a smaller footprint probably, because it wouldn't be, you know, if you're doing that, because you had for the older kids, you know, the one piece of playground equipment, you have the younger ones, for those younger kids that shouldn't be away from their parents, you could, you know, smaller footprint, it's easier in different spots, and probably still be close enough, but far enough away from the ball field.
So lots of fun things, lots of good stuff.
On that one, and then the other thing, development update, I don't know if there is an update on that.
I don't think so. Have we heard anything on the development agreement, John?
I would expect with this warmer weather with, you know, get a little more antsy.
On April 4, the council directed me to send a copy of the development agreement to the Grant Park lawyers, which we had sent to them in November 16, I believe. it
Yep.
was, With no
Mhm.
response. I also I sent that, complied with that instruction, and on April 5, I mailed that along with Justin's memo,
Mhm.
dated April 4, along with his November 6 or 9 memo.
Nope, November.
Yeah, back in November.
Yeah.
And I received no response. The next day, however, on April sixth, I received notices from the clerk of courts that the Guzman law firm and the Newland law firm have withdrawn. They're out of the case, and new lawyers are Lee Schoenbeck and Joe Erickson from Watertown.
Mhm.
So we've heard nothing from them, and I've heard nothing.
So we're starting over again with our fourth legal team now.
Apparently, I did receive a complaint from one of the homeowners in Grand Park who was very unhappy about the pile of dirt. Which is near his home. I don't want to, reveal who it is unless there's some reason to do that. I also received not really sure if I call it a complaint, but it was a lot owners that purchased a lot and were not told of the suspension of building permits when they closed. And were not told of litigation. And they closed, I believe, in December or January on the lot signal. So they were, I think, these are just things that I think the council should be aware of. And I think I fielded one other call of just kind of an informational nature.
I think that's right.
And we're waiting on the development. I guess is where we are. There's nothing to report because there's apparently no communication. Nothing happened. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, John. Okay, mayor report. I've been getting a ton of questions about this recall process, so I'm going to share my screen. And can't get this. Get to the right screen. Okay. I'm gonna, basically what I did is, we went to the, where is my shares? Here it is. I went to the South Dakota website, which is where I go for everything. And, I think this will do it. I don't know if that will do it. Yep, that did it. Okay. So where you can go on the South Dakota State website, there's a page on the South Dakota Secretary of State. And you can go into nominating petitions. They have all the different petitions, all the different guidelines of everything you can do or possibly think of. I'm sure there's some gaps, but when you go to the 17 one, which is 52817, and so let's see here very, very quickly. If you look at the form, just so because people are asking, I don't even know what to do or what to look for. You'll see here that there's actually a petition for recall. It says who it is in the municipality, and it has based on the following grounds. And so all of the grounds that are the basis for the recall will go into this blank space. So you are able to review that as someone who is considering the petition. And then you have your instruction to signers, where you basically sign, print, looks very close to an election nomination form after that. So you have your sign, your print, your street, city, town, date of signing, county of registration. So people were wondering what to look for or what to pay attention to. And so that's what you need to look for and pay attention to. Second of all, people were asking, what is the actual process? And so the actual process for the recall election, the guidelines are right here. This is not the do all be all, but it is the guidelines from the city. There is codified law that they refer to through this, but I don't want to bore you with all this minutia, but I do want you to see what is out there. So basically, who can be recalled? It can be in any municipality without a city manager. You can do the mayor, the alderman, basically any elected official. Keep me honest on this, John, if I'm not doing this right.
Yeah, you may
So-
want to refer everybody to the statute.
Yeah, definitely. When it says the SDCL, you're definitely gonna want to refer to the statute.
It's 9-13-30.
Right here. Right here. So 15% of the registered voters need to have the total numbers signed. And it needs to be registered voters at the last general election. They have to, like I showed you on the form, they must list the grounds for removal. They allow
Specific grounds.
yeah, specific grounds have to be listed. Allowable grounds for removal are misconduct, malfeasance, which again is a fancy word for misconduct, nonfeasance, crimes in office, drunkenness, gross incompetency, corruption, theft, oppression, and gross partiality. The petition shall contain a specific statement of the grounds on which the removal is sought. And the petition is what you guys just looked at. And they have a 60-day window to get the petition filed, and then the voters need to have someone lined up to run against the incumbent. Once they get their signatures, they present it to the finance officer, I believe is where it goes.
Have to be filed with the finance officer,
Yep, finance officer at City Hall.
the public document.
Yep.
Yeah, or document.
So then the finance officer, then what they do is they present it to the council. And then we need to have a meeting within 10 days of the presentation of the petition, as you can read all here. And we need to set an election date of 30, no more than 50 days, but because of all of the publication requirements, they usually say 40 days out. And then they talk about January, which is most likely not going to be the case here. And so then the incumbent can request to be on the ballot if they choose to. It's done automatically without nomination. And then the competing candidate has to go through the nomination process and get that information turned into office.
You left out one critical piece. Deborah,
It's
and that
not
is-
on this form, but it is in the codified law.
Yeah, that is that a person can challenge the recall petition within 5 days of the filing, but with an action in circuit court. And it's a declaratory judgment action, so the alleged grounds for the recall can be litigated before the court. So that's a very substantial step. It's not a simple process to recall a mayor or a council person because there's judicial scrutiny that is brought to bear on the process. And so a judge, in theory, could rule the grounds are not sufficient. And then I guess that would be the end of it unless somebody wanted to appeal to the Supreme Court. So that's a critical piece that has to be mentioned because there is, and there, I would assume there would likely be a court action that would follow, even if the petitioners, I mean, if the petition gets signed and the document gets filed. And then if there's no other candidate that runs against the official involved, in this case, the mayor, then the mayor stays in office. And if the mayor wins the election, then the mayor stays in office. So it's a very democratic process that is carefully scrutinized by the court to ensure that due process is given and there's full disclosure. There'd be a court trial people could attend, for example, on the evidence that would have to be brought forward to establish and prove the grounds that are being alleged. Still, generalized statements are not adequate. There has to be specific examples of misconduct and or other grounds
That fall into all those categories. that I
Next
showed you on
question.
the thing.
So when it comes from the finance officer to the city council, what is our duty with that?
To select a date.
Yeah, you would choose a date, but there needs to be an opposing candidate that's involved too. And I assume they would have to, this is kind of an unusual process. There's not a lot of history.
Actually, I had somebody from the press say that there's just a handful of events since even 2000.
Probably since statehood.
Yeah, and that this has happened. But you know, we do unusual things in Baltic. We like tie. We like, drawing cards. So,
So the petition is filed with the finance officer. Council meets within 5 days,
No,
or it goes, you have the opportunity for circuit court before that.
you have to file the complaint within 5 days to circuit court, but then the council needs to meet within 10 days of presentation to select an election date.
I mean, everybody should read the statute. It's
Yeah,
not-
so that's why we wanted to bring this
It's
up
not
because,
difficult
yeah,
to read
it's
it.
pretty straightforward.
Because there's a lot of working parts, and it's tough to just, discuss this, kind of in the abstract. It's better to have the statute in front of us. Which you can all do. You can go to South Dakota statutes or, on Google. And just type in.
I typed in nominating petition South Dakota and it came right up.
The problem with Secretary of State is that you don't get, you miss the nuances, you miss the subtleties, which.
That's true.
In the case of a court challenge is critical.
It's true.
So
It's okay. Once it gets to city council,
Mhm.
it becomes part of a general meeting.
Correct.
You basically.
We would most
Special
likely,
meeting to-
we would most likely to have a special meeting to discuss the petition and select a date.
So that would go on to our city site with every other form that we have.
Yeah, it's just like anything else.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
not a big deal.
the petition itself should be distributed to the public. They should be able to read it. Everybody should be able to read what the petition actually
Right.
says. Because, you know, to have transparent government, you need to be able to see, especially a fundamental requirement to due process is for the person that's being challenged to understand what it is specifically.
But our completed one we receive will go on to our city site along with all the rest of it.
Well, I assume there's more than one petition. I assume that it's like any other initiative or situation where there are multiple petitions, solicitors that are out there. But it's gonna have to have the same statement grounds in it in order to be valid.
Good question.
There's
I've been
been-
getting lots, so.
There's been multiple requests from various different people to be able to see that petition. And the response that I've seen is, well, if you show up at this address between these hours, you can look at.
Well, hopefully they'll change their mind and make that public. It'd be really nice if they would.
Jamie, do you have copies for us right now?
I did not.
Okay, any other questions?
Wanted to give you that statute and I had it up here and now I'm,
I think it was 3, let me get in there.
thank you.
Yeah, it ended in a 3, I knew that.
There's actually about 3 statutes that govern recall.
1931.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But the nice thing about this is it's really easily searchable. Those codified laws are really easy to read and it's a pretty clearly defined process. So, any other questions on that? Okay, well, that was all we had for business tonight.
What about the canvassing?
No, that's all we had for the meeting. Now it goes to the campus. Sorry. No. Nope. You'd be pleased to know we don't have anything for executive session tonight.
Perfect, let's canvass the vote.
Let's canvass the votes. So exciting. And I've got to fight this thing again now. Hope not. I don't know. Depends on how fast they count.
Don't jinx. Stop, you know, not gonna have
Shame on you. Shame on you. You jinxed it.
Don't have a 500.
Let's not do that. It's the.
Oh.
Not very happy.
Give the woman some space.
You can twist it off, it will come off easily. Oh, really?
In my office.
Okay, you ready? So.
I'm gonna get out of the way so she can take. Linda, if you want to come here, so that way everybody can see what you're doing.
Okay.
I know that's your favorite thing is to be right on camera, right?
All right, Brian, you cannot remove.
Right here.
Part of this.
Yeah, I guess it's down there.
Oh.
You want me to sit down there? Is that easier? All right. All right.
Travis, you could have. Could we move in? Maybe, and then we'll just Travis.
Yeah, I can. Doing all
Yeah.
kinds of-
You can open that. And
Good.
then you could have battled that. You could open up and so. Yeah. Another.
I got plenty to tell you.
We gotta get them.
Paper state.
I can't. Okay. Keep it open around. We can go vote now. Well, I've never done it. I've seen this done. Yeah.
It's counting. Here's a copy of the poll book.
Well, that's a
Or
that's good. Copy of the.
he's got a copy of the poll book. Because we had to share with the school, so we got the copy.
Okay.
Now, you need to do similar to this with the votes, so you have to write. Here's the new.
Yep, so you go through all the numbers.
But they're all organized, so it should be easy. Do you have anything there that, anything
Nothing
more
else
in
in
there?
my envelope. The list of voters copy is all I have.
Okay. All right. Put it down here. Write the name. That shows.
Can it be in this line?
Let's get all right. Now I'm gonna let you two vote. Or let's count, and I'm going to have you go through the voter registration at random.
Okay.
Make sure these numbers match the names in that book.
Mhm.
So, and then you put a check mark there.
Okay, do you have a certain number that you want?
Good cross checking.
So yeah, until they're done.
Yeah, I would keep going until they're done.
Fantastic.
Up to you. Yeah, some cities don't do it, I do, but,
We haven't done it, we must have before. Sorry.
yeah, that's what we should do. Just to make sure that the numbers match. So you don't write in this book, you could write on that.
I want to go to Mac, so.
What?
I'm just saying Mac is a gravy,
Okay, what was the last one you just said?
Mac,
Don't be mixing stuff up.
Mac. Mac.
Okay, when you get to another five, when you get to five, you know. Okay. Okay, now why don't you count those and we'll double check. Am I doing it right, Kathy?
I don't know.
Oh, you've never seen it recounted?
For the school board, all we've done is spot check with you.
Yeah,
Go through the
that's what
whole
we
list.
did.
You go through different spot check.
Oh,
You don't.
okay.
Not everything. You just actually literally pick a number out of the book. Verify the signature.
That's what he's doing, but the vote.
And then for the votes, yeah, well, take it out to this committee that.
Oh,
Yep. So that's the way, I was just telling him, that's why we did it in the past, where we counted through the book. Make sure
For a
that-
recount. I did you recount? I've never seen that.
oh, interesting.
Where was that?
Okay, so set those.
Okay, can I stop counting now?
Do you want to?
No, can we stop counting and just do what they were saying?
No.
There's 35, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Going.
Good job. You're the boss.
When need a retirement?
I stay now that they got those extra personal.
That works.
Agreed.
Remember the Agrilyme?
Yes.
He started in our, they were on that. Yeah, I think it was. Is there that? Yeah.
Okay, that was so.
Yes, we're not looking at starting this spot.
I was gonna say.
Do I gotta switch? Do I gotta bring, do I gotta, yes, city file?
Yes, sir. So how many do you have left there? It's your, pack. There's more. That's more.
You didn't tell me to bring my, because I have thumbs.
Can we have a bummer? Are you winning?
See what they're.
Or.
Problems?
Have been out, which is next.
Not yet. I know, I don't get out here. Charlie, I came up in the. That's all.
You're still being great, something like,
Yeah.
you call me time, and then one day you go up this way.
Oh.
So it's like, it was a G three. But it's nobody who's, I didn't see the deal on the side. They don't like. We decided to just try to make it time for weeks.
20.
It sure is no good. Hold on. Let's go. Let's go. I got, yeah, a little bit. When you, let's just. It should be 29 or 23. I broke it apart. Today was on the.
Well.
Hey, much. Yeah. So, I mean, no.
I'm saying.
So 10-1, so, yeah. That's 35. So do you still want me to keep it? Want me to go yell? Trying to track some of this part. Take a second week. Well.
Oh, so you don't have.
Not.
Yeah, my.
Well, there's.
Well, I should be able to.
Sorry. Okay, so you got that one marked down? Okay.
Oh, gosh. I've done it a couple days a week. Yeah. You can do it once in a while. If you need the help, it's just sick.
Oh, yeah. And then we.
Oh, so you also. I'm a small. It's great.
You know, I've got some questions too. Okay, stop. If this computer belongs, you that's a condition. Yeah. The person.
What's the vote looks good? Pass and by inspection.
Great.
The question on whether it's. And looking at it.
This is the one that's. Going back if you want.
Yeah.
I'm getting things. Yeah. You gotta stop the table.
Yeah, big glass of water. I think.
So then this back there on there. Don't mess with my time. I know, sorry. Yes. Right?
Okay.
We. Like, I got a gravy,
Okay, that should be. Okay, so then should.
so I gotta count them, okay?
Just be second.
You're not fit?
4, 5, 6. I was hoping you had that,
Sticky stuff.
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
not this.
We don't need the finger. We got it.
Oh, well, there you go, toss it.
Save me a pen for you.
Pass your inspections.
Yeah. Get this. Come on, I got it, sorry. Thank you. Hey, this is official business, don't be messing
So the
with
total is
it.
82, right?
Did you get 82?
I did, but okay, wonderful. Can I put that number somewhere? So sure.
That's what they'll do. All this stuff. In high school, because I played for the Orange soccer. And one of our fundraisers is filling pamphlets in a big sleeve and hanging on every door in Sioux Falls, every single door. And, yeah, so we just set up a bunch of tables and walked in a big circle and we had these every other time. And we went through them quick. Ready?
Yep.
Easy.
Percent of your up there.
39. Right, so 39.
For a city.
Yeah, I don't know. But that might be pretty much.
You know about them? All saying, stuff in the ground.
Yeah. So I wonder if because they're not.
Yep, they're not.
It's a problem. How many blank ones.
You're doing that 13 from earlier.
Almost done.
You're tracking these 3 hours for the last like.
Okay. Okay, next one. Sorry. Yep, should do something with this. Resign.
Yeah, I. Who's the next? That's hilarious.
21.
If you go back to the meetings, that back to the back, but it's a. That's what I think.
I swear to God, I'm gonna say these things by next meeting.
But 105, they can have about.
Don't push me. It's fine.
Did you get your invitation?
I did. I don't know why they sent it here. It's my boss. So I think it lives-
Send a picture. Talk to your dad at the voting. He said, brother, younger, it's like, no. But I knew I was gonna get in trouble. Discussion. No, you're gonna be actually.
Yeah.
Art.
Troy, could you know? Yeah, that's
Perfect. Great, Miss Linda.
Thanks, John. On up to this.
Okay, great. Now what do you want me to do? All right,
Not saying.
so now I'm just gonna have the three of you sign.
Oh.
Down there, so he goes anywhere. I'm not paying you. And then just have.
You just signed it.
Sign the 100 degrees in there. And you're a lefty too. Okay. Mr. Travis, sign. If you want to sleep official comment that agrees with the election board.
Okay, official count of the election was for city alderman. Brian Tweet received 82 votes. Brian McGreevy received 123. There was one unvoted. McGreevy is won the Ward 2 Alderman position.
Thanks to our workers who had such a long day, did such an excellent job. Appreciate them.
Thank you.
We do. We couldn't do it without them, that's for sure. Okay, you can put those.
Does it have to be certain ones in here?
No,
All.
So it doesn't matter that these get put back together?
no, 'cause we just keep them for a while and.
I'm gonna surprise you with one.
Very long.
Because if I remember right, we didn't do this last year.
So
No, we just went through the.
congratulations, Mr. McGreevy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now at 9:05. There is no more further business to discuss.
I moved to adjourn.
We got to move it to adjourn. Need a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready to get the